Welcome to episode 5, guys.
This and that, we are back.
Did you think we'd be back? Did you think we'd be back this week? Be honest, tell us. Tell us down in the comments. I bet a lot of you didn't think we'd be back this week, but you know what? You can't keep us down.
You can't keep us down.
There's nothing that's gonna get between us.
No.
We're thick as thieves. We're tight as a 2-year-old's tutu.
What?
I don't know. I'm going off the top of my head. I'm excited to be here. Welcome to This and That.
Welcome back, guys, to week 5 of This and That. We're here to have some fun. We're going to talk about some crazy news stories.
We got current events.
We got all sorts of stuff.
We do. I thought you were going to keep going with that. I was just going to keep miming what you were saying. You just trailed off.
Matt, I don't have a word of the day.
Matthew.
Stop.
No, this is live, buddy. You dropped the ball in front of everybody.
I messed up, ladies and gentlemen. I can't believe it. The word of the day today is stupid.
Stupid.
Because that's what I did. I forgot, and now I look like a fool.
Are you taking this seriously, Matthew? You have 2 jobs, news stories and a word of the day.
I'm really sorry, Matt. I dropped the ball this week. I know I let everybody down. We're trying to educate folks here and pass knowledge on. And
consistency straight out the window, week 5.
Oh, God.
Okay, I guess it's time for... Actually, you know what? I'm just a little bummed out by this. How you doing, Randy?
I truly don't think I could do this.
Yeah, I feel you. What a bummer.
I'm sorry. I let you down too, Randy. I'm very sorry.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to get straight into the news.
All right, it's time for news and that, guys.
Okay, what do we got first on the agenda today?
Well, I know that a lot of people have been having fun, myself included, looking at the fun stuff that's happening with the stock market with Robinhood.
Oh, that
right
fun.
Now, with GameStop.
All that fun everyone's having with that.
Well, it's not really fun. It's more like trying to take down these corrupt hedge fund billionaires.
They're having fun. Yeah, they're having fun.
Well, so I just saw this delightful piece of news. So if anybody the last couple of days was in California, specifically in the San Francisco area, they were treated to a plane flying a banner by one of these Redditors who are against these big hedge fund billionaires that said, "Suck my nuts, Robinhood."
See, that's the kind of civil disobedience that I fully support.
It literally, he made a pass all around the San Francisco Bay Area, and then he paid the pilot some extra cash to fly around Robinhood's headquarters. Did
he pay for it with the money he made on screwing over these hedge fund guys?
I can only hope so.
I was going to say that's the only way that could be sweeter is if he used his windfall to then just throw it back in their face a little bit.
Well, this is what I love is because there are so many people that have been getting these windfalls, and a lot of people are trying to hold the line so that they don't sell so that this hedge fund can go under. But a lot of people have been doing awesome, really good things. Some people bought they used all the winnings to buy 100 Nintendo Switches.
I saw that
for a whole bunch of needy kids and stuff like that.
That was one person. So let's hope the other people are out there doing, because I saw that same story, and I hope that the fact that we both saw the same story, that's not the only one. I hope there's other people out there using the extra income is to do some good for people that might be hurting right now.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's just the whole situation is just so insane to me, and the fact that Robinhood, the company, some people are angry.
I was going to say, has there been any downfall from a legal side yet?
Well, they filed a class action lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah, against them. So anybody who is involved with Robinhood, who had their stocks and their trading, suspended for GameStop, they said that is a violation of the free market. They filed a class action lawsuit.
So is there going to be any government investigations or anything?
A lot of prominent senators and lawmakers have condemned these actions.
Yeah,
so I think that this is going to be moving forward. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out.
It is going to be interesting because I imagine some of the senators probably don't want to take action on this because they're
making money from it.
I was going to say they might be making money from similar means and other stocks and stuff like that.
No,
So
that's right on.
It's going to be interesting to see the ones who do come out real vocally against this and for some changes and investigations and stuff, and the ones who were just kind of sitting by the sideline like, guys, is this really our business?
We shouldn't really get involved.
It is your business, and you better do something about it.
So I found something else, a nice little nugget about Robinhood that just made me. This is delightful.
Okay.
So a bunch of the Robinhood employees.
Me.
So they have their staff, about 1,000 people. They were really upset. Some of them about the restrictions that were put into place. I mean, how couldn't you be?
Yeah, sure.
So they paid off the staff. Okay, the Robinhood staff that were complaining about this, like, this is wrong, this is immoral.
Before the news broke of this,
but guess how they paid them?
with GameStop stock.
No, that would be tremendously ironic. They paid them with a $40 DoorDash credit. Can't make this up, folks.
Nope. And where are they located? San Francisco?
San Francisco.
I imagine that might get you one day's lunch from
you kidding?
DoorDash.
Yeah,
with the delivery fees and everything.
It might get you an appetizer.
Yeah.
A bowl of soup, maybe. Delivery fees. In San Francisco, my best friend, one of my best friends, Andrew and Jess, they lived out in San Francisco for a year. They paid, I think, like quadruple what they were paying living in Columbus for the time, and were living in like a closet.
I've known a few people that have lived there. I've never been myself, but I've never heard that it was reasonable or affordable. Those are never words that have been used in incongruence with San Francisco.
No. So the fact that this is all happening with the Robinhood staff, just like it was just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, here, one of the staff was quoted as saying, $40 of DoorDash credit to help pay off our morals.
Well, I mean, they sold their morals for $40 in DoorDash credit, so
I guess
I mean, it's easy to say that after the fact, after you took your $40 DoorDash credit.
It's like, we could do this, but at what cost?
Yeah, if he was so worried about his morals, he could have quit and then made that statement.
For $40?
He did. He sold his moral. Maybe it's hard to hear that quote without hearing him say it, because maybe he was like, I can't, fuck it, just my morals are worth $40. I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's not.
Do you know how expensive it is in San Francisco? That was $40 for food I didn't have to spend.
I got 3 cups of ramen for that $40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people at Robinhood, I think I can speak for Kaspar, who was the guy on Twitter who arranged this plane to go suck all of our collective nutsacks.
That's a good one. I commend that man, his commitment, his follow through. You sir, are a champion in your own right.
Not a champion.
No,
not yet.
No,
not quite. Not quite.
Let's not push the boundaries.
Yeah, no, you gotta have some real tremendous credentials to get up onto this.
Paying for a banner to fly over with a snarky little comment on it is not the equivalent of eating like 6,000 pounds of food. Eating 25,000 calories at a time.
That is true courage.
That is true courage. Not only that is commitment that you can't even imagine, sir. Now I'm shitting on the guy that I was just commending him. He had nothing to do with my compliments, or he didn't ask for them, and now I'm shitting on him for no reason.
Oh boy.
With that,
what do you got for us today?
First up on my list, Kanye West is facing 2 class action lawsuits totaling $30 million for mistreatment and unpaid wages.
Oh no.
Yes. So this is, I didn't prepare for this mentally, but our top stories both involve class action lawsuits.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
There's a lot of class action lawsuits going on right now. Can I get in on one of these?
We don't always tell each other what our news stories are going to be, so I'm hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time from this guy.
Yeah. Back in November, a group of hairstylists and makeup artists filed a class action lawsuit against Kanye for unpaid wages connected to the Nebuchadnezzar live opera performance as part of his Sunday service program.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, when I was typing that out, I was giggling to myself.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah. Is that like biblical?
Yeah.
Well, I assumed it's biblical because of the context of this story that I'm hearing it, but like where in the Bible who is Nebuchadnezzar?
I think it was King Nebuchadnezzar. Wasn't he the one who built the hanging
I have no idea.
Okay, I think he built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which is one of the ancient wonders of the world. We're going to Matt check me on that.
Okay.
But Nebuchadnezzar was also the name of Morpheus's ship in the first Matrix.
Cool. Mm-hmm. When I hear it, I immediately think of Nebby. For some reason, like the
Pittsburgh term?
the Pittsburgh term Nebby.
Like quit being Nebby.
Yeah, you little fucking Nebuchadnezzar.
A little neb nose.
Yeah.
My sister once, she got a new job at like a company, and like she said that somebody was being a neb nose, and I guess the person had just moved there from like out of state, and they were just like, oh, what? Like they
That's
thought they were
common.
they thought that she was making fun of somebody's nose.
No. It came out that there had been a second suit filed late last summer in Los Angeles against West. In this case, alleging that the Sunday service performers were mistreated and either unpaid or paid late. One of the lawsuits represents over 500 performers, while the other represents over 300 behind-the-scenes crew members.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's like 850 people that you're not paying, mistreating, paying late.
And those like aren't like big high profile. Those are more like probably like stage hands, like backup dancers and singers and stuff like that. Like
the Nebuchadnezzar Live Opera, the group that performed, I believe that's one large group, like choir,
like a whole troupe,
a very well-known choir. Yeah, I saw a video performance of it. It's like they were on top of a massive hill, and I mean, they were shoulder to shoulder, and it was like a large gathering of choir singers. And
I saw one thing. It was with I don't know if maybe this was the same group, but it was Kanye with James Corbin, and they were on a plane full of like a choir, and they were singing. I don't know, maybe that was the same
probably
group.
Related in some way. Okay. I don't really pay attention to Kanye all that much.
I try not to.
Yeah, me
It
too.
kind of makes my brain hurt.
It's reported that the attorneys are attempting to identify more alleged victims, and that the total number of victims is expected to top out near 1,000 people.
Jeez.
Kanye's got a lot of problems on his hands because under California labor laws, the performers should have been classified as employees instead of independent contractors. This should have given them the legal right to overtime, wages, as well as breaks for food and rest, which apparently they got none of.
When was this performance? Like just recently? Or within like probably the last year or so?
The first suit was filed back in November of last year, so yeah, I think it was like last summer. I'm pretty sure it was during
last summer, and maybe they still haven't gotten paid.
No, maybe it was even further back than that, because I remember seeing video footage when it was happening, and I don't remember anyone like in masks or anything like that. I don't think there was any restrictions on it, because it was like I think the first time it happened at like Coachella or one of those music festivals. Kanye had a Sunday service thing. I don't know if it's tied to that. I don't know if he had more after that. I can do a little bit more research. I just assumed that it was tied to that one Sunday service performance, because that's the only one I've seen video of.
Aren't him and like Kim like a billionaire now or something like
Apparently
that?
they're getting divorced.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know. I saw that Glean, and I fought the urge to read anything about it, so I don't know about their divorce, but I saw it while I was looking up this stuff.
Still, I mean, that's not a good look when you're one of the most like wealthiest, well-known artists in the world, and you can't pay the people who are supporting you. Especially through 2020. That's shitty.
This isn't the first time that we've heard these kind of stories. It happens a ton of times where celebrities do these grand things, and then people don't end up getting paid. They get paid less than they expected. They get paid in a different compensation than they were expecting. It's just like
$40 a DoorDash.
Yeah, seriously. It's just like if you have the name like Kanye West, we know you have the money. You brag about your money. You flaunt your money. So if you're going to do this giant event with close to maybe 1,000 people under your employ, like, pay them.
Pay your people.
You're an employer at that point. They're there because of you. You're at your request, at your behest. They're there because of you. You are required to pay them. And like I said, he might be on the hook for $30 million in damages in regards to the Sunday service suits.
Remember last week we said we're not shaming anyone. No, I'm shaming him now.
Yeah, I don't. Kanye,
shame on you.
Kanye, you're a very public figure. West is also dealing with another lawsuit filed in August 2020 from My Channel Incorporated, which alleges its employees were unpaid for 6 months of technology-based work for Sunday service. So just those other two suits that I mentioned earlier aside, there's a third suit tied to it for technology-based work. So he's just screwing people over on every level.
Everything.
They showed up, they did their part, they fulfilled their end of the bargain, and then just got screwed over.
So, word to the wise: if you're an artist or a performer or a technician or something, don't work with Kanye. You're not going to get paid.
Or at the very least, know what you might be in for, because it doesn't sound like he is too reliable, and it doesn't sound like you should really trust him too much.
Bummer.
Yeah, real bummer for those 850 to 1,000 people for sure.
Seriously, man. You know what? That's a good jumping off point to my next story.
Okay.
All right.
Let's hear it.
So some of those people, sometimes you get so angry, especially nowadays, you just want to scream.
Yeah.
Well, there is an outlet for that now.
Ooh.
There's a gentleman. Now, I just found out about this. Turns out he made a hotline. We're going to put the phone number here on the screen for you.
Okay.
He made a hotline that you can call in just to vent, just to scream. He made it right before the 2020 election.
Who are you screaming at? Does somebody pick up, or do you just get like a
no. It's just like
recording?
It's a recording. And what's happened is this guy, his name is Chris Golmar. Okay. And he started this phone call like right before the 2020 election because people just wanted to vent. So it's just a phone line you call and you leave a message, and then he'll listen to them, and then he will publish some of these as well, like some of the best screams. He said most of them are just like 2 or 3 seconds of people calling and just going, ah!
Okay. Is this your Florida man story?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was going to say, I saw that you had a Florida man story, and if this was it, I was going to be very disappointed.
Oh, no. I have a couple Florida man stories. We'll get to that, though. Florida man never disappoints.
No, okay.
That's something I've always
As long
learned.
as you're not taking away my... I was excited for that, and I was, for a second, I was like... Because I thought your Scream story was something about a new Scream movie or the Scream TV series or something, so I
was tricking you with that one.
Yeah, you did. You got me.
I got him.
You got me. Fooled me.
Fooled you.
I'm a mark. Okay, so proceed.
Okay, so he literally just started this like just something for him and his friends to do. He thought it would be funny. Like it's like, you know, sometimes you get so upset if you're like watching the news too much. You just like you get so angry, you just want to scream. So he thought it would just be a fun thing for his friends, and he could capture a couple things. He's had over 120,000 people who have been calling in and like leaving all of these different screams and stuff. And he said the nice thing is that at first it was all just doom and gloom, people calling in and screaming and ranting about things to get stuff off of their chest.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are starting to leave like messages of hope now, too.
Oh, that's no fun.
Oh, come on.
What a way
I can't shed a little bit of optimism.
Absolutely not. He made this thing for a specific reason, and people are hijacking it for another reason because
hope.
Yeah, but it's not the place for hope. There's a time and there's a place for hope. That is not the place for hope. I just lost sound in my head.
Did you?
Yes, I don't know why.
Oh.
There's a time and there's a place for hope. And that man created a line for people to call and vent and scream and get out their frustrations in a healthy way. And these people are hijacking it for their own bullshit reasons.
They're hijacking my anger.
Go call another phone line and leave messages of hope where people are asking for messages of hope, where they're warranted, where they're wanted. People that are calling this are supposed to scream. And I urge you to only call this number and scream. I feel passionate about this because I feel like it's a service that I'm going to use. I'm probably going to call this number and I might let out a big ass scream.
I really hope you do.
I'm going to.
All right.
I don't think it's going to change anything about me.
I'm gonna call in after you do it and leave a message of hope.
I'm still gonna, and I'm gonna call in right after you, and I'm gonna leave a really mean message.
We're gonna balance it out.
They're gonna end up dismantling the hotline because it's just gonna be the two of us trying to outdo each other.
Oh, that's delightful. Well, this cracked me up because this reminded me of. There was another call-in hotline that was very popular years ago, and I was so delighted to find out that it was still there. Have you ever heard of Call and Oates?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I was telling my friend about this the other day.
That is something you would find amusing.
It's delightful. I love it. So, and I found out about it because I used to work at a sales job, like inside sales. I was just on the phone all day long with people, and it tracked your minutes, like, you know, how long you were talking to people. So they would say like, it's like, oh, Matt, you were only on the phone for like 8 hours today. You need to make more calls, you know? So a lot of people, they would come in first thing in the morning and they would dial the Call and Oates number, and it gives you a prompt. It says, thank you for calling Call and Oates for...
I'm familiar with it.
I'm telling it for people who weren't familiar.
But sorry, you were looking me directly in the eyes, so it seemed like you were telling directly to me.
It's great because you literally can just like, you can listen to like Private Eyes or like, you know, Call and Oates songs, and it's just like, and it's like really shitty, like crunch quality.
What is the actual use of that?
Well, here's
how is it applicable?
Here's how it's applicable. It's twofold, okay? The first is it's just a nice little random distraction to listen to some nice music.
I have to go out of my way to call a phone number to hear Hall & Oates for a second.
And here's the second reason, because when you're working an inside sales job, the few minutes that you're on the phone line go towards your metrics, and it looks like you've been working more.
That's a legitimate reason. Okay, I'll give you that. Any other reason, I don't see the point of it.
Well,
I don't find it delightful. I love Hall & Oates too, by the way. I love Hall & Oates. I'm not shitting on Hall & Oates at all. I'm shitting on the idea of a number that I have to call just to hear Hall & Oates. That's like one of those stupid ideas that somebody had on a toilet that they actually went through with and hoped people would.
And it's still around. Yeah, it's been out. This thing's been out for like at least 10 years or so, I think.
Yeah, good on them, I guess.
No, and it's fun because it became this
I will
thing
not be
where, like,
calling that number, and I urge everyone else not to call that number.
We're going to put the number on the screen anyway.
I control the editing. We will not be putting any phone numbers on the screen.
Oh.
We're not getting paid to advertise these people.
Google Colin Oates.
That's fine. You can tell them to Google it, but we're not advertising for anyone that isn't paying us.
Okay. See, the world...
Is the guy with the screen thing getting paid for his service? Did he monetize it at all?
I don't
is
think
it
Chris
just...
did. He literally just did this as just like a nice little service for people, Chris Gomar. And... I think he's just doing it to be a good service, which I know you're upset people are hijacking it now. So
I think it's a good service, and it pains me that people are hijacking it because it's not meant to be hijacked for hope. It is a screaming service. It is specifically meant to call and vent. You said it yourself in the headline. It's meant to vent.
Okay.
It's meant to vent.
All right.
I got a real doozy here. This one, we're going to get into the weeds on this one a little bit.
Okay.
So earlier this week, actress Evan Rachel Wood came out and finally named Marilyn Manson as her abuser.
I heard about this.
She's alluded to it in the past. She's made statements in the past, but hasn't explicitly named him. That all changed earlier this week. So,
well, I can't be blamed for something like that.
And since then, at least 4 other women have come forward with stories of similar allegations.
4 others?
At least 4 others.
Wow.
As of yesterday, whenever I was looking this up. So it's not looking good for old Marilyn here. And so that's just a little pretext for what my actual story is. That's just so Marilyn Manson is in the news right now for some not so good things, rightfully so. Trent Reznor, the 9 Inch Nail himself, has come out with a statement denouncing his former friend and collaborator.
Wow.
He said, I have been vocal over the years about my dislike of Manson as a person and cut ties with him nearly 25 years ago. As I said at the time, the passage from Manson's memoir is a complete fabrication. I was infuriated and offended back when it came out and remain so today.
Wow. Strong words.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Marilyn Manson's memoir?
I'm not.
Okay, so this is where we're going to get into the weeds a little bit. For those uninitiated viewers, for Matthew here, in 1998, Marilyn Manson released an autobiography called The Long, Hard Road Out of Hell.
It's an intense name.
Yeah, right? But like when it first came out, like in 98, I was 10 years old and I was like really into like the whole nu metal, Marilyn Manson, Korn, all of that shit. So
my brother was, and I listened to some of it, and like I was like, oh wow, I've never heard anything like this before. So I mean, like the dude was creative for sure.
Yeah, I won't take any of that away from him. His personality aside, his creativity aside from his personality.
I've always known he was just creepy.
And it is one of those things where you just look at the guy and you hear his music and the way he speaks, and he does speak very educated. He has a very educated.
He's well spoken.
He is very well spoken, but you still have to wonder in the back of your head. You're like, he's probably not all that different from the stuff. This probably isn't that much of a character. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's probably closer to who he really is than he's hoping that the line is blurred because of how outrageous it is, but he's probably really like that.
You see some people where it's just like, they're playing a character, and he says like, I don't know how far that is from the truth.
Yeah. So back in like 98 when I was 10 years old and like into Marilyn Manson and shit, like his book, which I got a copy of it.
Oh, wow.
Right here. I have a copy. And so like it stood out to me as something that I wanted to read. And I remember, don't do this, kid. I stole a copy of it from the library because my mom wouldn't let me take it out of the library.
When was this?
1998.
I'm going to say like last week.
I would not steal books from the library
My mom
at my
wouldn't let me.
current age. So, but I remember reading this back then, not really understanding any of it, and then I reread it a few years ago, just as I was when I quit drinking. I was starting to read books that I hadn't read in a while. Wanted to read, things like that. And this one
back off the shelf.
This one popped back into my lap, and I was reading it. In this story that Trent Reznor is upset about, I'm going to read the passage out of the book because
okay.
I don't think my just describing it and kind of explaining it would really do it justice. You have to hear it in Marilyn's own words.
I'm excited yet terrified.
I remember whenever this first came out, or not when this first came out, when I read this a couple years ago, when I came across that passage again, I remember thinking, I'm surprised that this hasn't been a thing already.
Like people were talking about.
Yeah, like I'm surprised this hasn't raised some awareness or some suspicions or anything. So,
okay, hit me with it.
Without further ado, the story, in a 2009 interview, Reznor called his former colleague. In the passage, Manson claims he and Reznor sexually and physically assaulted an inebriated woman in the 90s.
Oh my God!
So that is the thumbnail of it. If you want to give it that, just so you know what you're about to hear.
Jesus,
kids, leave the room. Parents, send them to bed. Well, we pulled a trick that I've become quite famous for. It is pouring a large glass of tequila for your adversary or your victim, and then pouring a large glass of beer for yourself and pretending that yours is tequila also. Which, first off,
that's some devious stuff.
First off, when I was reading this again, I was like, okay, that's not even a real thing, because anybody that would look at a glass of tequila next to a glass of beer and think they're the same thing
is an idiot.
Then I'm thinking again, okay, maybe the beer looks like a Long Island iced tea. Maybe it's not just a straight glass of tequila. Okay, this is a plausible way to do this. This is a piece of shit. Okay, so yes. First off, there's your.
I just cringe when you use the word victim.
Yep, like he's proud of it.
Gross.
You convince them to drink down their large glass until they vomit and pass out and are left to be tormented. Oh
my God.
A similar trick had been done to me when I was young. So that goes back to they say that that kind of behavior repeats itself in people who have been victimized is young.
Clearly.
A lot of times, people who, like adults who get caught up in that kind of behavior, terrible behavior
and abuse,
they were often victims of it themselves. Damn. And it was learned young and never treated correctly, never given the right attention, and it spirals for some people. It doesn't stop there.
Oh God.
So the trick worked, as it always does. And Kelly and her friend were drunk and running around the lawn where Sharon Tate's friends had been murdered. They jumped in the pool, and somehow I was convinced to join them. So yeah, in this story prior, he reveals that they're recording his album in the house that Sharon Tate, the Tate murder house.
Oh, jeez.
So that's the setting for this particular story. I was convinced to join them, and that's something I don't like to do because I don't know how to swim. So I was in the pool with this sea bass, I suppose you could call her. By smell, she was some sort of porpoise fish woman, and by sight, she looked like a water behemoth. Trying to create some sort of entertainment for everybody, I said, why don't we play Guess Who's Touching You? We'll put a blindfold on you, and you can try to figure out whose hands are on you. That sounds like a Dane Cook joke from the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's called Who's in My Mouth.
Yeah. So I'm not. While everything around that is awful, I have a hard time pulling that one out as a thing to point to and be like, oh, that's disgusting, because I remember clearly laughing at that exact premise with Dane Cook. So you get a pass on that one. But we're right back in the bullshit right now. So Trent and I take this sea bass into the living room. The other girl had since passed out and was hopefully drowning in her vomit.
Jesus.
We blindfolded the sea creature. No, I think we just wrapped a towel around her head, which also covered up her face and made us both feel better. Not that her body was any greater than her face. It was all terrible. I grow ashamed of myself right now as we speak of this. And I bet he's not ashamed of himself for what he's saying or what he had done.
No, he's ashamed that he was with somebody that he wasn't.
Yes.
He wasn't like traditionally beautiful. That's fucked up.
He was ashamed of what he had done, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, not in hindsight. It was like, wow, that was an absolutely evil thing to do.
I don't understand. Like you said, hearing that, like I don't understand how like that was written. People read that and like didn't get upset about it.
At the beginning of this interview, let me clarify. This series of articles was originally written for Empyrean Magazine, Volume 7, Number 2 and 3, issue dates May and June 1995. It was never published due to content objections on part of Empyrean's publisher, Centaur Enterprises, which believed that the magazine had followed unethical interview procedures in order to extract information from Mr. Manson. The magazine folded soon afterwards. Throughout the rest of this interview, you can see little parentheses and notes with like snorting sounds, and the guy who's interviewing him was like, maybe you should do a line if you need another, and you should always need another. So like the guy interviewing him is feeding him apparently the entire time.
Well, you said Trent Reznor said like condemned this whole thing and said it was a fabrication
recently. Yes.
Okay.
I guess, and apparently whenever the book came out, there was something about it, and he also said that. But who's to say? That might just be him trying to cover his tracks because it became public, because he trusted a drug addict. So we start squeezing her nipples and prodding around her genitals and what have you. We were laughing because we were both drunk, though not nearly as drunk as she was. In the background, a Ween album was playing, Push the Little Daisies and Make Them Come Up, as me and the young Trent Reznor poked our fingers into the birth cavity of the bizarre fish lady in search of some sort of caviar. But what we ended up finding was a mysterious nodule. Maybe it was a white fuzz or a piece of corn that she had on the outer region of her rectum. It horrified us, and we looked at each other with disgust and shocked. But we knew that we must continue with our debasement of this poor, unsuspecting person. So I found a cigarette lighter, and I started to burn her pubic hair. Though it didn't hurt her, it didn't help things smell any better than they already did. Unfortunately, there isn't any real climax to this story other than I think that she wanted to cuddle with someone and we both ran. And it goes on.
I'm kind of
shy. The interview goes on from there,
well,
but I felt like that is the main
you have to blame
crux
Richard Simmons
of the interview that Reznor was talking about. In a 2009 interview, Reznor called his former colleague a dopey clown. Following abuse allegations, Manson has been dropped by his record label and his booking agents. Manson denied the allegations on Monday night, writing on Instagram, "My intimate relationships have always been entirely consensual with like-minded partners. Regardless of how and why others are now choosing to misrepresent the past, that is the truth." Which brings me to my main point. I wanted to read that little clipping from that book as to not misrepresent the past. Those words were from Mr. Manson himself. That story was an anecdote that he thought was really cool to share publicly and let people consume. So make what you will of that. Those are his own words. I'm not trying to misrepresent Mr. Manson here. I wanted you to hear exactly what he decided to publish in his book.
That is
his autobiography.
I knew it was going to be something crazy, but I didn't think it was going to be, let's get this girl drunk and assault her.
I have to admit, I'm dropping Manson like a bad habit. I was a fan of his, a sideline fan more as of the last decade or so, but I still listen to his new stuff when it comes out, just to check it out and see what it sounds like. I kind of keep up with him a little bit in that sense, but he's dead to me. And it sucks because there's a lot of his old music that I really do enjoy that I will never be able to personally enjoy again because I will think of this kind of shit the entire time.
It's kind of tainted everything. It was like you always knew he was like a weird, creepy guy, but now that like it's okay to be weird, it's okay to do that, but when you hurt people.
Yes.
When you hurt people, that's where the line gets drawn. And
let's also say that there's a possibility that Marilyn Manson trying to be shocking outright all the time, as shocking as possible, being his only goal. If he was hopped up on all kind of during that interview, maybe he's embellishing. Maybe he's thinking he's being edgy and funny and in saying this because of the time.
Yeah, sure.
He thought he could get away, and I guess technically he did. He was able to say that without much backlash back then because he didn't get canceled. He didn't get dropped from labels or anything. I mean, he probably sold more concert tickets if there was any kind of controversy. Controversy sold concert tickets. People went to a Marilyn Manson show expecting to see Bibles burned. They expected to see
just outlandish.
I'm not gonna lie.
The top stuff.
I have had a blast at more than one Marilyn Manson concert. I love all of it. I never thought he was too outrageous. If you didn't like it, you didn't have to listen or watch it. It's not your stuff. That's fine. Mm-hmm. I loved it personally. So this one's This one's not so much a hard pill to swallow, but it's just kind of like that's really the end of a particular music era for me.
She's back, and she's deader and better than ever. This season on Kids with Crowns, America's OG child pageant star Zombine Ramsey is back, and what's left of her flesh to show these little bitches how it's fucking done. Zombine, how are ya? Great! Watch as Zombine struts her stuff out of the grave and straight into our hearts. The cuteness is truly horrifying this season on Kids with Crowns. Coming this fall to TLC.
Today, in other news you weren't surprised to find out eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's because you're not surprised to hear. Like I was saying before, you look at Marilyn Manson and all that stuff and everything he does. So when you hear something like this, you're more apt to believe it right off the bat. You're not necessarily willing to say, "Hey, let's hear his side of the story," because he's pretty much given you his side of the story for 25 years.
You just read his side of the story, and it makes it even worse.
Yeah, we could say that there's a possibility that was fabricated for shock value or whatever. But the point of the matter is, he still published it. Mm-hmm. It was still put out there, and even if it is still in really bad taste, there's no defending that in any capacity.
I agree.
So I'm glad that you indulged me with that and let me read that. I know it was probably difficult to listen to.
It was a little difficult to listen to. I'm going to be honest. It made me uncomfortable.
It was when this story popped up, I had to go pull that book out immediately. I didn't plan on ever having to read that book again, or thumb through it even. But now it's definitely going straight to the Goodwill, or the nearest thrift store.
Huh.
I have no use for Manson. No use for Manson anymore. I think when I was researching this a little bit to get some dates and facts correct, I noticed that within the last day or two, the cops had to swarm his house because a neighbor heard somebody screaming that they wanted to leave and weren't being allowed to.
What?
I don't think anything came of it. I wasn't able to find him being arrested or there being any factual basis for that. A neighbor may have heard the accusations come out and decided to just fuck with him. But there is a story floating around right now from the last day or so where the cops had to show up at his house because of a neighbor complaining of hearing a woman screaming that she couldn't leave and wanted to leave or was being held captive.
Damn.
That's
some heavy shit, Matt.
Yeah, it is, but it's the news, and unfortunately, it's the entertainment news right now.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of Trent Reznor still. I hope that he didn't take part in that. I hope I really hope that Trent Reznor didn't take part of that, and whenever he denies it, he's truthfully denying it. Mm-hmm. There's no other way to fact check whether or not that's happening, because it's literally just that
it's just it's just one person's account.
It's just one person's account in the book, and then Trent Reznor's word. I don't think the woman in question that was in the story has ever. I wasn't able to find anything from her that somebody interviewed her or she came out and said, no, that really did happen to me. I'm mad about it, or I loved it, or anything. There was no word of it. So
I think the only thing that's in Trent's favor right now is that he condemned the book when it came out.
Yes.
Not just recently.
Not just recently, yeah.
That would have looked bad.
I think I would have immediately just been like, dude, you're guilty too.
He did it too.
Yeah, I would have immediately believed the story if he would have waited this long to be like, oh, yeah, I've known about that story in the book for this long, but...
He just chose to not say anything. No, the fact that he condemned it right when it came out, I think hopefully looks good for him, and hopefully means it was fabricated.
Unless there's more evidence or more accusations against Trent, I'm willing to give him a little bit of a fingers crossed pass on this, that I'm not going to look like an idiot. I looked up, tried to find dirt on Trent Reznor in like the assaulty type of way, and I wasn't able to find anything. So
no, I guess that's good. Hopefully,
he seems like a pretty quiet, laid back dude. I hope he really is.
Yeah, seriously.
Because he's does amazing film scores now. He scored the Social Network, and
I've never seen that.
It's an okay movie. I mean, it's the story of Facebook. So unless you really give a shit about the story of Facebook, you know what you're getting. It's
I know what it is now.
yeah, I don't necessarily recommend the movie, but if you haven't heard the score of the movie, I would download the score or figure out a way to listen to the score, because that's the only thing that, you know, for me really made the movie super.
I love good movie scores.
Yeah, that was the most silver lining for the movie. Well, it was well acted and everything. I don't want to shit on the movie outright, but I don't think it was necessarily Oscar worthy, because I think it won Best Screenplay or something.
Did it?
I'll match check it. It won something. It was at the very least nominated for a few things.
I know that it was. I'm pretty sure it won something, because I remember it was like the big talk of it. Everybody kept talking about it.
It was like 2010, 2011.
Was it?
Yeah, it was around that time period, because it came out.
I'm getting old.
Came out shortly after I moved to New York City, which was 2009. Because I definitely remember I bought it there. My roommate and I bought it on Blu-ray to watch it for the first time. So, and we were in New York at that period. At that point when it came out on Blu-ray anyway. So maybe it came out like 2008. But either way, it's been a minute. And the score is definitely worth listening to. I'm blanking on the other. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I think his name is. They've collaborated on a couple movie soundtracks. Gone Girl. Did you see Gone Girl with Ben Affleck?
Yes.
I believe Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross also did the soundtrack. The film score to Gone Girl.
No, I watched Gone Girl, and I didn't know anything about it going into it. I was very pleasantly surprised.
That was one of those purchases that we have like those CD and game exchanges.
Yeah.
You can get real cheap Blu-rays now. I think I picked that. I was just like looking at their $2.50 Blu-rays, $5 Blu-rays, and that was in there, and I picked it up. Also not really expecting much. Very pleasantly surprised at how good that movie is.
Seriously, Ben Affleck really surprised me.
I liked it so much I didn't trade it back in. I kept it. I still have it downstairs. Because I think it actually has some rewatch value. It's a really well told story. It's really well paced.
Who's the actress who played his wife in it? I can't remember.
I am blanking on her name. We'll match check it down at the bottom.
Yeah. Her performance was just terrifying, frankly.
Yeah, she made you believe she was psychotic.
By the end
sociopathic, whichever.
At the end of the movie, I was just like, oh my god, that's how it's gonna end. He's just trapped in this hell.
When I didn't necessarily see her killing Neil Patrick Harris's character with slicing his throat the way she did.
That was brutal,
right? I knew she was crazy by all the plotting and the planning and the the snooping and sneaking and all the lying, the devious stuff.
I forgot NPH was in that.
Yeah, he plays her ex or something, the wealthy guy that she tricks into letting him. He lets her stay with him, and then she makes him think that she was abused and all this stuff, and then he leaves for work one day, and she beats herself up and
insane
shoves something into her and to make it look like he assaulted her, and then kills him, slices his throat.
Yeah, it was the level of deviousness in the movie was just.
I have the book.
Gives me the giblies.
Having watched the movie made me want to read the book, so I bought the book. Haven't read it yet. I'll get to it eventually. But I'm curious if that's one where the book is better than the movie, just as good, or if the movie
add some more of that shock value just by seeing these things happen visually.
Yeah. Because I thought the screenplay was very well written and well paced. So I tend to believe, or I would tend to think, that since the screenplay was so well crafted that they used a lot of the text, the original text, as their guide.
I didn't know that it was based off of a book.
I believe the book came first.
It's normally how it happens.
Yeah. And I think I'm pretty sure it's just called Gone Girl, or maybe it was re-released under the name Gone Girl when the movie came out. It might be. We'll match check it.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a book called Gone Girl now, but it might have been the movie might have been based off something else, and then they may have re-released the book under a new name.
Because I know when you're reading a good book, and when there's plans and schemes and stuff like that, that's really satisfying to read those, because it probably gets into so much more detail, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is my only gripe with. First of all, I hate when people say like, "Oh, the movie was better than the book," or "The book was better." They're different, different mediums.
You have to know that going in. That if you go into the movie expecting the book, you made your mistake before you even, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah, like I told you, I grew up like reading the Harry Potter books when they came out, and I also saw all the movies. I enjoy both of them equally, but they're different aspects of the same universe,
Yep.
You can't fit everything in a movie that you do in like a 500-page book.
Did you see Ready Player One or read Ready Player One?
No, wait, was that the Spielberg one?
Yeah, Spielberg directed it.
It's the one where it's like a super virtual reality or something, where you're like inside of a game.
It takes place in like in the future, way in the future, in Cleveland, Ohio, like futuristic, rundown, almost post-apocalyptic Cleveland, Ohio.
Wait, rundown Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, you're just describing it right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, it isn't much of a stretch, but
If you've never seen it before, there's a hastily made Cleveland tourism video.
I've seen all three of them because there's now a very recent third installment that isn't as good as the first two.
Our biggest export is crippling depression. At least we're not Detroit.
Just go watch the video, guys. It's really funny, honestly. You'll enjoy it.
Sorry, post-apocalyptic Cleveland.
Yeah, they live in this virtual world. There's this thing called the Oasis that everybody all across the world plugs into, and they all live in this Oasis. The creator of the Oasis dies, and he sets in motion this tournament, so to speak, where people have to find keys to unlock clues and secrets, and then whoever gets them ends up taking his place as the overall boss of the Oasis. I loved that book, and I didn't think that the movie could possibly do it justice. And then when the movie came out, I was like, kind of like the movie just as much, if not a little bit better than the book, because it finally. It references so many things throughout pop culture history from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, across everything. If you can think of a reference from the time period, they probably reference it in that. It's kind of overwhelming at times. That's my only real negative critique of the book, is that like sometimes you can tell they're just throwing a reference in to throw a reference in so this guy can like flex his big ass brain of references. Where it's like, okay, dude, you're being a little indulgent now. Like not everything has to be a reference to something from your past or whatever. I get it. I love the nostalgia factor. That's what attracts it to me. But like, yeah, you're really shoving it in here. You're shoehorning a lot of nostalgia in here in places that just feels a little weird. So anyway, that's one of my good examples of liking the movie almost better than the book, because visually you don't have to point out all of these references. They're just there, and if you catch them, you catch them. I found it that you were able to just focus on the actual story of it and not having to try and think of like, oh, where do I know that reference from? Yeah. It was more like if you picked up on the references, oh, cool, they fit that in there. Oh, I didn't get that one, but that's cool.
Yeah, it's like you said, when it's just like shoehorned in like that, it just feels gratuitous and it breaks up the flow of the movie.
Yeah, it just felt like this guy was like, oh, I know so much trivia knowledge. Just look at all my trivia knowledge. No one wants to hear my trivia knowledge. I'm gonna write a movie where I shove all of my trivia knowledge. Like he was just really like he was probably a pub trivia guy.
That's like the forced weird obscure facts that they put up on Archer. You ever see that? Like
I never really got into Archer.
Oh yeah,
wasn't my thing.
It's like, geez, come on, Mr. So and So. Nobody gets it. It's like the inventor of shoelaces. Come on, people.
I like the animation style of Archer, but I never actually liked the humor much.
It went too off the rails in the last seasons. They started getting all these like weird meta concept seasons where like all the characters were like different people in a different universe and stuff. It got a little bit too. I don't know. It was like they made it into like a weird like vignette or something. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but the first couple of seasons I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was popular.
There's nothing else like it on at the time.
Hey, but to each they own. Mm-hmm. What's your next story? You want to get into some Florida man stuff?
Yeah, talk about some Florida man stuff. I'm not going to get to all of them because I just found this beautiful list of all sorts of great things, but I found one that harked back to something we talked about last week.
Okay.
So, a Florida man who's known as the Monkey Whisperer.
Okay.
He was accused of trafficking protected primates. Okay. He's facing up to 20 plus years in prison now.
Good. Send him to prison.
Yeah, no, because monkeys shouldn't be kept as pets. And as we learned last week, they shouldn't be made to climb up and pick coconuts for forced labor.
Nope.
So Florida man, the monkey whisperer, is now behind bars. 57-year-old Jimmy Wayne Hammonds, shame on you.
I kind of just picture this guy, like, they don't mean the monkey whisperer in the, like, the supernatural sense. He's probably just like a drunk that just goes up to them and literally just like, psst, hey monkey, come here.
You want a banana?
Hey monkey, come here. He's literally just a guy, like a crazy guy that whispers to monkeys. He doesn't even have monkeys in his possession. They're just locking him up because he's fucking crazy. He sees monkeys and they're like, he's just walking around whispering to invisible monkeys.
He actually made himself. He actually made a company called Monkey Whisperer LLC.
Okay, so he's not your typical Florida man.
No,
he's got some.
He got enough business savvy to get himself an LLC.
He's got some business savvy.
So they said he was breeding the monkeys and then selling them illegally to, like, you know, private people who
like
want
zoos and stuff, like the Tiger King thing all over again.
It was kind of like that, where they were exploiting all the monkeys. So it was kind of like, so you got Tiger King, now you got the Monkey Whisperer, but they got him. So he's not abusing his little monkeys anymore.
I still don't believe he was abusing them now. I believe he was just whispering to him. I believe this man is wrongfully accused.
Hey, Coco, how you doing?
Hey, do you eat plantains? Hey, how do you peel a banana? Do you peel from the bottom or the top? Okay, have you ever actually watched a video of a monkey peel bananas? They don't open them from the top.
Yeah.
They pinch them from the bottom and they pinch right open.
I know. It's like they figured it out better than we did.
100%.
Mm-hmm. I love I saw a schematic one time of a banana wherein it shows, like, you know, there's like 90% of the first part of the banana. It's like delicious banana-y goodness. And the very tiny tip of it was like literally Satan's asshole.
I always eat that. I don't mind it.
It weirds me out.
It all tastes the same.
I always get the weird, if it's like the little discolored nub at the very bottom, sometimes I get rid of it.
Doesn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
I like the same with like the French fries that come out. They cut a French fry on like one of those like dark spots. You know, like the French fries that come out with the end is like kind of rotted looking. I eat that shit too. Like, I don't give a fuck. I eat shrimp tails. I don't.
What?
I don't dispose shrimp tails. I just eat the whole thing.
I have never heard that in my whole life.
I've been doing it since I was at least 10 years old. I don't know. Since I started eating shrimp.
Like a cocktail shrimp?
Every shrimp. It doesn't matter what
you dip it in
shrimp.
the sauce and you don't like.
I don't know. I eat everything, all of it, the whole shrimp. I don't waste any part of it.
I'm sorry, but I find that fascinating.
A lot of people do. You're not the first person. I've done it in front of hundreds of people probably, and a lot of people have commented on it over the years.
Wow, I
like the crunch.
All right, fair enough. And you ever gotten like sick from it or anything?
Never had a single issue.
Huh. All right, come back next week where we're gonna watch Matt eat a bunch of shrimp tails.
If you want to do that as a challenge next week, I'll eat like 50 shrimp tails or something.
I mean, you don't have to eat 50.
I'll eat 50. I'll eat 100.
I mean, I want to eat some too.
I'll eat 300 shrimp tails next week.
Okay, I will try.
This is gonna be an expensive. Shrimp is an expensive.
Okay, well, how about this? I've never eaten a shrimp tail, and the thought of it is revolting to me. So I will.
You'll try a shrimp tail?
I will try a shrimp tail with you on air.
How about like one cocktail shrimp tail, and maybe if we like, I'll go to my favorite local place to get like fried shrimp.
Oh, okay.
And so you can try one that's like crunchy with the breading and everything too.
Deal.
2 shrimp tails.
2 shrimp tails.
Because I think you might dislike the cocktail shrimp one because it's really just the fishy flavor with the shell, but the breaded one sometimes you get a lot of like the, you know. Can
we still get like one of those wheels?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get one of those cocktail shrimp wheels with the tartar sauce right in the middle.
Yeah, we'll just eat cocktail shrimp next week.
We'll just crush shrimp the whole episode.
But we will promise that you will try shrimp tails.
I'll do it. I will do it.
I swear, I've been pushing it as a delicacy or like a.
Okay, I will say probably one of the strangest things. I have eaten fried fish skin before.
That's kind of. I mean, I'm not necessarily I don't think that's necessarily weird. Mm-hmm. Not something I would eat. So there's where I draw a line.
Okay, so my buddy Rich, he's a really good cook. When we were working at the restaurant like 10 years ago, he was one of the cooks and I was a server. I'd be walking by the line. He would just like get something off the grill and give me all sorts of little treats and stuff. But he wouldn't tell me what it is. He always wanted me to try new stuff. So he'd literally just set something down in front of me and be like, put put that in your mouth. I'm like, okay,
dude,
I trusted him.
Those are the best jobs and best coworkers. Coworkers, I've had a lot of like restaurant jobs, kitchen jobs, and stuff like that. So whenever you have a chef or a cook who's really like
hooks you up,
excited about like trying something new, and he wants taste tests and
he wants to share it with other people.
Yeah,
those
are. It's always a little joy, a little nugget of sunshine in a usually stressful shift.
One of the cooks who works at my hotel right now, she makes absolutely amazing soups, and like she made a homemade like wedding soup the other day. Like she spent
wedding soup is delicious.
Day making this like chicken stock from scratch, made the meatballs herself and everything. Like really nice. What is that? Is that orzo or pastini they have in there? The little pasta ball things in there.
I'm not exactly sure what the technical name for them is, but I've seen, depending on where I've had wedding soup, sometimes they don't have that. Sometimes they're little shells, like little noodle shells, like miniatures, like
I've seen it made with very tiny egg noodles before too.
Ooh, I would probably like that.
Mm-hmm. I love egg noodles.
I haven't had good homemade soup since my grandmother passed away in 2005. She used to make absolutely unreal homemade chicken noodle soup, where she would wake up super early and she would make her own stock with actual like giant chickens. Like she would get like 2 chickens, put all the ingredients in the thing, let it cook, and make her own stock, and then she'd pull the chicken out, and it would take her all day. She would roll her own noodles, hand cut all her own vegetables and everything.
That's something I've never done. I've never made my own pasta or noodles or anything.
She was big on the homemade chicken noodle soup and big on homemade pierogies. She would make homemade pierogies where it was an all day thing, and she would make like 12, 13, 15 dozen, and then do you
have any Polish on that side of your family?
Yeah, I have Polish, a lot of Polish. My grandfather was, I'm pretty sure, 100% Polish on my mom's side, and then my mom's mom was also a little bit Polish, but mostly Irish. And then on my dad's side, it was a lot of like Scottish.
Okay,
and I think a little bit of Welsh.
So you say pierogi or pierogi, and I always
my grandfather said pierogi.
Yeah. I had a high school teacher. And he would yell at us, and he was like, he was super Polish, Mr. Olszewski, and he would yell at us for mispronouncing pierogi. It's pierogi.
Yeah, I say pierogies.
Well, yeah, we're both Yinzers, so yeah, you'd want some pierogies and gyros, and
it was always a big deal in the family whenever Guck was making homemade pierogies. People would start showing up, cousins, uncles, aunts, everyone starts showing up to get their to-go bags of pierogies. But man, they're delicious. And thankfully, my mom and my sister both perfected my grandma's homemade pierogi recipe. So we still get homemade pierogies maybe once, twice a year if they're feeling up to it, because it's like a task to make the dough and pinch.
It's like a labor of love.
Pierogies in particular, you can't make the dough too thick. They have to be the right like, they have to be thin enough that they can fold and pinch together and stay together, but not so thick that it's just all dough.
And when you cook them, especially if you pan fry them, with the butters, and the
which is
onion and
my
everything.
preferred method.
Oh yeah, you got to get you get that nice little sear on the bottom. You caramelize the onions and some butter, because the pierogi has to be the right thickness where it sears the outside without burning it while still cooking the contents inside properly.
It's a delicate balance.
Everybody's had a pierogi where it's like hard on the outside and like cold on the inside. It's so disappointing.
And it's really gross when it's sauerkraut. Do you like sauerkraut pierogies?
You know what? I tried one for the first time. My brother and I, there was like a local church around here or something. They were having like a big like pierogi sale, and we're like, oh heck yeah, I'll get in on that.
I'm sure that's probably a thing. Like churches probably have those things often, but they're very popular around here. I can at least personally attest to that.
There's a big Polish community here, like ancestrally speaking. Yeah. So we bought like 3 different kinds. One of them was sauerkraut, and we tried it. And I love sauerkraut. I'm one of those things like, every New Year's, I'm always doing the pork roast with kibasi and sauerkraut,
yes.
As is probably like 90% of people in southwestern PA.
That's the only reason I look forward to New Year's Eve anymore. Yeah. Happy New Year and all that, but give me the pork and sauerkraut.
So you like sauerkraut?
Oh, I love sauerkraut.
But just not in a pierogi.
No, I love it in a pierogi too. I don't like it when you were saying that sometimes you get it really, it's really hard and so on the inside and it's still cold inside.
Cold
That's
sauerkraut.
really gross when it's sauerkraut in there.
Okay.
And it's like warm
gotcha.
outside but cold sauerkraut inside. Yeah. I love sauerkraut. I like it warmed up though.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's sorry. I didn't know that was
The sauerkraut pierogi was fantastic, and then we just got one that was just like your
potato?
basic, just like your basic potato and cheese. Then the last one was a sweet potato.
I've had sweet potato pierogies.
I was
actually-
pleasantly surprised. It was pretty good.
There used to be a restaurant in the family, distant relatives, no one that ever came to family gatherings or anything, on Route 51 called Clara's Pittsburgh Pierogies. So like
Sounds familiar.
Somebody, it was, you know where the Get-Go is if you're heading out towards South, like Century 3? There's a big Get-Go. It was right next to the Get-Go for a long time. It's out of business now.
Okay.
But they... yeah, we had like an actual, like somebody in my family opened up actual just straight up pierogi place that was there for a few years. I know after my grandfather died, we had his little wake there, I believe.
Okay. That's nice.
And that's how I found out. Like I drove past it a billion times and didn't know that I was related to the people that owned it. It was through some kind of weird, distant thing, but
Brothers,
the food was
cousins,
great.
fathers, sisters, nephews, former roommate.
Everyone's crawling out the woodwork when they bring the pierogi pan.
Oh boy,
Man, I want pierogies now.
I know, right? We're talking about we keep talking about all this
Ooh,
food
today's
stuff.
Friday too.
Is it?
It is.
I don't even know what the days of the week are anymore.
Today is Friday, but it's not Lent, so it doesn't necessarily. I feel like around Lent is usually whenever I see a lot of like the pierogies and like the fish fries.
You don't follow Lent.
No, but I look forward to like the fish fries and stuff.
All of the societal benefits of Lent.
Hey man, I suffered through Catholic school for 8 years and went through all the communions, the confirmations. I went through all of that stuff. I can mooch off the fish fries now. I put in my time, okay?
You put in your time.
I'm not just some guy in off the street that's like, oh, what's going on here? A fish fry? Now I put in all the guilt and all of the years.
Earned all of those fried
Yes,
cods.
man. All of the years of mental anguish that being raised Catholic has brought into my life. I will go just for the pierogies and fish fries now.
Good for you. You earned it.
They're like, hey, we didn't see you up in the mass.
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Because the pierogies were down here. I was down here stuffing my face. I was down here eating.
Oh,
That's right. I'm not religious.
making Randy proud.
How many pierogies you think you could eat, Randy?
10 pierogies.
Okay, that's fair. Do you like anything on your pierogies? Do you like cheese? Do you like sour cream?
It's a lot of sour cream.
That is a lot of sour cream.
You gotta have.
He
sour
knows what's
cream.
up. I'd like to see him do a pierogi challenge sometime.
That would be cool. Once has he been to Pittsburgh?
He has. He's been to Permane Brothers a couple times.
That's right. Oh, that's right. I remember he crushed like
5 Permane Brothers
5
sandwiches in a half
Permane
an hour.
sandwiches.
In a half an hour, and I think there was also like 2 24-ounce Iron Cities too.
I was about to say it was going to be Yingling or Iron City.
It was either Iron City or Icy Light. Maybe he had the light beer because he always jokes that he's watching his calories. you trickster, you little jokester.
That's cheeky.
Randy's the man.
Oh man.
He's holding down our Hall of Champions all by himself. He's not complaining. We're gonna get him some company soon.
Oh
enough.
yeah. We need to find somebody worthy to induct first. So.
That is the main challenge. There's we got a couple nominees between us right now, but we're not jumping to any conclusions. We understand the gravity of this situation.
Yeah, no, because it's a big honor and it's a lifetime appointment, barring, like you can't go.
You can't go Mansoning anybody
you
now.
can't go Marilyn Mansoning people now.
No. That's gonna get you kicked out of the hall real quick.
All right.
What's it called when in court? Whenever with prejudice, you're kicked out with prejudice.
Prejudice. You're going to be held in contempt. Contempt of podcast.
We will never renege on the removal. You will be removed for life.
You will hold strong.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So more Florida man. So you said you had like a list of Florida man.
I had a list of one here. I pulled up a couple of the ones that were just cracking me up.
Give me some more Florida man.
Yeah, this
I need something more.
And it's just the headlines are just great. Drunk Florida man steals floating tiki hut in Key West.
Incidentally, that easily could have been a Pittsburgh headline.
It's true.
Because we now have floating tiki huts along our rivers in the summer.
Do we?
Exactly like that, actually. It looks
Really?
exactly like that.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like fun.
They're literally docked. If you go over the Smithfield Street Bridge at any point, they're docked right in Station Square. You can see them all year round.
Really?
They're right there. They're covered over with tarps right now, but
like down by Gateway Clipper Fleet?
Yep, right, like between the bridge and the Clipper. So like before, if you're at the bridge, you're looking at the Clipper. It's between that point. So like, basically, you know where the Grand Concourse is? The river side of the Grand Concourse.
I almost got a job at the Grand Concourse once.
My cousin has worked at the Grand Concourse. A cousin has worked at the Grand Concourse for a decade or more, and it makes a great living there.
I was just say I couldn't even get in there because the people who are working there, like like career servers who have been there for like 10, 20 years.
It's like that place in the Lamont up in Mount Washington, from what I understand, is still one of those places where the servers just stick around forever because it's such a good job.
Mm-hmm. I love all those places up on Mount Washington. I haven't been to the Lamont, but I went to Altius that was up there.
Yeah.
And
I'd never been to that one, but I've been to Lamont.
No, my sister had her we had like a rehearsal dinner there for their wedding.
Nice.
And it's just like up on the top of Mount Washington. There's this private room that had this huge like open glass window,
sprawling view of the city.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite view of Pittsburgh. I love it.
Mount Washington really is like you couldn't ask for a better view. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite view. That I'm so biased to the South Side. In the South Hills. One, because that's where I'm from, and two, just because I'm very fortunate geographically speaking, where I just happen to be plunked into this world because I'm a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk from Grandview Avenue from my house.
That's awesome.
And so at any point, my entire life, I've been able to just walk up there and just like look out at the great views.
Just admire
it's my favorite view, my favorite side of the city. I've seen it from the north side and all that. It looks beautiful from any direction, but that view from the south side of it, where it's all just like lined out in front of you.
Everything in front of you.
You can see Oakland over to the far right.
The Cathedral of Learning.
Yeah, you got the north side over to your left. It's beautiful.
Beautiful city.
Yeah, we're getting too hyper local here.
I know. Hey, I'm proud of our town.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Here, I wanted to find another. I had another one I pulled up here. Another Florida man. Okay. Oh yeah.
The tiki thing. Actually, let me go back to the tiki thing real quick. I've seen, because I used to walk over the bridge to and from class, and I would see people on these tiki things, and to me it looks really dangerous. At least in our rivers, they don't look like they're very stable. It looks like you're constantly, at the very least, if you have problems with like seasickness or motion sickness, it would be a nightmare.
Looks like this one's in I don't know how ours are, but the one that they found in Key West, that when the police boat showed up, like they found a guy on there, and he said he was severely intoxicated.
Well, I think they have bars directly on them. That's the point of it.
The cops sees them. They're literally standing like behind the bar. Now this one, I don't know about the ones in Pittsburgh, but it's in the shape of an octagon. So
yeah, that's the way the one. I'm telling you, the ones here look identical to that.
An octagon.
It looks exactly like that.
See, I would get behind a floating fight ring.
I would too.
The floating octagon.
Floating fight club?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get down with a floating fight club. That's hard to say.
That's a tongue twister.
That's a hard one.
Floating fight club.
Say
that's 5 times fast.
Floating fight club. Do it, guys. Try it. You can't do it.
Floating fight club. I was really confident there. I was like, I'm going to show him up. I'm going to do it.
Floating fight club. Damn, even really... Dude, that's hard! Dude, that's so weird. Why? I haven't really thought about one of these in a long time. My brain literally can't do it. Floating fight club.
I always love the lines that Will Ferrell uses to rehearse to get his... In Anchorman,
yeah,
the Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Unique New York.
That's a pretty common one.
It is, yeah.
Floating fight club. That's I challenge you all to do that yourself and see how successful you are. Maybe share it with us.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea for an ad.
It is, yeah, the floating fight club. Floating. I can't even say it.
We're gonna say it different every single time when we talk about it.
That would be a nightmare to try to record that because
never mind. I can't. I take it back. We're gonna get a headache trying to make this thing.
That would be. You would have to attempt the reading of that one because I literally don't think my brain would be able to do it consistently enough to make it work.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
I can do that one. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled. Where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
Okay, now we're just showing off useless talents.
I thought that's what we were doing here.
Yeah, no, that's what we were doing that, but I'm just saying, like, it hit me in the instance. It's like, okay, we're getting way off. Now we're just like...
Florida man accused of stealing horses and riding them home.
Hijacking floating bars, horses. Wow, he looks like a horse thief.
Look at the picture of this guy. He doesn't... I don't know what a horse thief looks like, but I think that's it.
You're going to have to save that to the Dropbox.
I really am. Yeah, I'm going to pull that image up here for you.
The floating horse thief.
This guy's name here. Well, he said he's behind bars. He said he tried to free the horses from a local ranch because he wanted the horses to be free.
Isn't that what they all say? Isn't that what the guy that breaks into Red Lobster and cracks the giant aquarium open? Isn't that what he's saying? I want to free the lobsters. Didn't Ed not Ed Norton, who's Ed Furlong, the other dude from American History X? He literally, I think he got arrested for breaking into a Red Lobster or going in during business hours and breaking an aquarium.
What?
I'm almost positive. We're gonna have to match check that.
That's if so.
That just pulled up a random weird, like, I think I read a story about that.
That is extraordinarily random.
Yeah, it's probably about eight years ago at this point.
Okay, the horses were being corralled. The owners told deputies they saw a man driving the owner's truck. So he stole the owner of the ranch's truck to like steal these horses and set them free.
Oh, so he didn't take off on the horses. I pictured him taking off, like riding one of the horses and the rest of them just following.
That was also my mental image. I'm a little disappointed that I read more.
Yeah, I wish you would have left that piece out.
Authorities say when the owners asked Hunt why he opened the stalls, the 55-year-old told them that he didn't believe the horses should be caged. The Fruitland Park. That's where he's from.
He didn't say the meth told him that the horses shouldn't be caged.
No, this is not the horse whisperer. So wait, it gets better. He told the owners he tried to mount one of the horses and ride it home, but it got away from him. So he tried to enact that glorious vision of him riding the horses free down the highway, and it didn't work.
I wouldn't even be mad at him if I was the owner of the horses. If there was an actual image of this guy like trolloping down the highway on a horse with the rest of my horses behind them, as long as I got most of the horses back, I would be probably okay with it. Just
Holy
for
crap. I knew. I'm sorry. I knew horses were expensive.
I bet before you even say anything, I bet they're like at least six figures.
Almost. The horses are valued at $20,000 and $80,000 each. Yeah. So that's not like a Rottweiler.
No. Horse people. There's like a whole breed of people out there, like horse people.
I'm
cat
friends.
people. Like there's cat people, but there's also horse people.
No, one of my good friends, Jess. She had a horse growing up, and she still goes and rides and stuff like that.
Yeah, but are you lumping your friend Jess in unnecessarily with horse people?
No, she knows she's a horse people.
Is she like obsessed?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Because I don't want to unnecessarily lump her in if she's not what I'm describing. I'm talking about like the people that just like don't understand that they smell like horse shit and are constantly covered in horse hair and
no,
like
she's very well put together. Not like that then. Okay.
Yeah, so like let's not lump her in with that. I'm describing the dregs of the horse people, like the hoarders of horse people, like the crazy horse people.
Horse.
The horses? The hoarders? The horsters?
Horse hoarders.
I don't know.
You have a lot of room to hoard a horse.
You would need a lot of acreage to hoard horses.
Mm-hmm. They need a lot of room to run around.
You can't just shove like a dozen horses into like a your average size yard or backyard.
Can you imagine?
He's not
just
Pittsburgh.
Like, you imagine just driving through Southside and all of a sudden like you just like see somebody just like walking down the street on a horse.
You've not seen that?
No. I mean, I've seen cops on horses.
Well, no, there's like on the weekends when the weather's nice, there's like carriages and shit.
Really?
Yeah, they start in Station Square and they make their way down to the Southside Works and then back to Station Square. It's expensive as fuck from what I undernd. I've never done it, but
can't imagine that
you can see them destroying traffic on a Friday or Saturday night in the summertime on Carson Street while the horse is all freaked out because that's a narrow street and cars are coming at it and it's like
that doesn't sound fun for the horse.
No. No, I always even when I lived in New York and I would see those people in Central Park doing that shit. I just that seems cruel to me. You're just like making this horse work in the city. Like this horse has a city job.
It's not like remember the old story, the city mouse and the country mouse?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say like the city horse and the country horse. Like there shouldn't be city horse.
No, these horses shouldn't have city jobs. Bring them to the city if they have to go to like a really good vet or something like that. But like,
They're meant to be.
I just can't imagine
free roaming.
Even police horses are like, okay, I get it. They're being used for work. It's not such a I don't know. I just don't like it. Yeah, horses belong on farms or in wide open spaces. That's a big ass animal. That's not like a dog that can like, enjoy a yard and then come in the house and just be fine chilling. It's like a horse needs like room to run around and like that's fucking. We name power after horsepower. Like we horses have so much energy that we've named our own like.
Horses are pretty fundamental in our like progression as like a species, though.
Fuck
in society.
yeah, they are. Hell yeah, they were not only transportation. They were used to pull plows and carts and
the beginnings of agriculture and
move people from state to state in their fucking.
What's the proper term for animal husbandry?
Animal husbandry.
Yes. That's our belated word of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Animal husbandry.
It's more of a term of the day, but
I'm trying to salvage this, man.
I'm not trying to shit on it. I'm trying to play it out this like, yeah, we didn't give you a word of the day. We're giving you a term of the day.
Term of the day.
Animal husbandry, is that a real thing?
Animal husbandry is the branch of agriculture concerned with animals that are raised for meat, fiber, milk, eggs, or other products. Oh, wait, no, that's not animal husbandry because that's easy to eat them. That's livestock. Okay.
Yeah, I was just saying, so that's a misleading use of the word husbandry.
I guess so.
I thought husbandry was, something spousal. Or I won't say that word, actually.
Okay. Dairy farming, poultry farming, fish farming, bee farming.
Bee farming. I love bee farmers.
What's it called? An apiary? Apiary?
Yes, I think so. Mm-hmm. I know one guy. I won't say his last name, but shout out to Troy if you're still alive. I know you had some health problems, but he had a bee farm or like quite a few hives. I'm not sure what the lingo is. Bees are awesome.
Bees are awesome. Did you know that Morgan Freeman, he imported 26 beehives from Arkansas and his 124-acre ranch in Mississippi. He's converted the property into a full-time bee sanctuary.
I did know that, actually, because...
So if you didn't need another reason to love Morgan Freeman...
It's, he gave a couple interviews around the time that news story came out, and I was just like, yes, Morgan, yes, bees. Bees are literally integral to human survival.
I know. We need our pollinators.
Yes, man. If bees aren't around to pollinate, we don't have food, our crops go to shit, and eventually life. Bees are integral to human life.
It's going to be like an Interstellar where just all the crops on Earth are dead.
Dude, I mean, it's not hard to imagine that scenario with all the movies that have come out and everything. Like maybe back in like the 60s, it's like actually hard to imagine. Like you can think of it, but like
too far fetched. But no, that seems plausible.
But now it's like, yeah, we know a lot of things, and we have the ability with technology to use foresight and data.
We could destroy the planet, or we could save it.
It looks like we're on our way to destroying the planet.
Yeah,
we've been on that trajectory for a while.
I'm optimistic that at least enough people are starting to pay attention to it now.
Absolutely.
And that's the only good thing I can say. Is that
it's going to come down to our government actually deciding that it's a problem that needs to be dealt with or, cut off or tried to.
Which means it's going to come down to enough people making the government realize that's what they need to do.
Yep. Hopefully things will move in the right direction with that. It's I know it's for some reason it's hard for some people to grasp the concept of it. It's like I don't understand. It doesn't affect you anyway, but negatively.
I'm sorry. You don't like having clean air or clean water to drink?
Clean water, tolerable temperatures.
Oh, that brings me to our next point. Fuck Nestle.
Yeah, Nestle does not have a great track record for environmental
No, they say
friendliness.
water is not a human right.
Yeah.
It is a commodity to them. And they literally steal water from like villages of like undeveloped countries and then sell it back to them.
I'm pretty sure they have some of the poorest employees in some parts of the world too. Like Nestle by all accounts that I've read, they're kind of a bad company. Kind of a morally bankrupt company.
Yeah, fuck Nestle.
The ever-living dollar, man. We love them ducats and dollars. That green, the mucho dinero. Them bennies. What do they call simoleons?
Simoleons?
I think that's from The Sims. I think they're called simoleons in the game The Sims.
You know, I never played The Sims.
I've never really played it either, but I've watched... when I started... Are you familiar with City Skylines? It's very similar to SimCity. So when I was watching some playthroughs on that because I got really into that game, and they reference simoleons in that, and I believe... from context that is the money, like the currency inside the game. SimCity.
I was into all
Sims.
The only like simulation style game I was really into was all the Roller Coaster Tycoon games.
Fucking love those games.
Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then I would get like I had a bunch of expansion packs that I called like Loopy Landscapes and stuff like that.
It's if you liked Roller Coaster Tycoon, you would love City Skylines because it's basically building your dream city, and but you have to start from like small little two-bedroom homes, and then those homes eventually, like the area can be redeveloped as you
then you can start building
progress, and you can build high-rise apartments, skyscrapers. They have
do things like museums, and like,
police stations, nursing homes,
hospitals,
schools,
banks.
You literally place trees, roads, pipes, all of the good stuff.
That sounds like it would be very satisfying.
It is very satisfying.
See it all come together.
It's very meditative.
I think I get that same thrill actually from playing the Civilization games.
It's similar to that, yeah. It's similar.
My brother and I got Civ 5 about like a year or two ago, and I just, it's amazing. I got lost in that game, just like literally building like from scratch. That's where the only reason I know the term animal husbandry, because it's one of the I know this is I'm such a nerd.
Wait for that to come back full circle.
I know, I'm such a nerd. So because it's one of the points, like you start off and it's just like, you start off from like ancient Stone Age time, so you research like the wheel, and then you get up to making tools, and then you research animal husbandry, and then you can start opening up pastures and farming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I know that term.
That's
full disclosure.
But yeah, in City Skylines, you can also you can set up your farming industry, your textile industries.
Wow,
and
it's really in depth.
It's very in depth, and when quarantine first started, I downloaded. They had like a bunch of the DLC for free.
What service do you play it on?
I use PS4.
Oh, okay. I bet I could get it on Steam though.
Yes, and with Steam, if you use it through that, there's so many like mods you can use that you can do. You can make your city look even more realistic, and there's definitely limitations in the console version. I've often considered trying to. Like download Steam and try to figure out how the mods work, just because it looks like it would be exponentially more fun to play, being able to actually mirror real true to life things so much more accurately. That's
the fun thing is I have one of my favorite games of all time is Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls, and the game is almost more, it's like there's almost two games. There's regular vanilla Skyrim, and then there's the crazy world of modded Skyrim.
Yeah,
like
I've heard
people turning all of like programs you can run that turn all the dragons into like Thomas the Tank Engine.
Those it's cool, funny, it's novel, but if do people actually use those to like play the game?
Yes, no, but people do it like what they do is they have things that like enrich the environment, like add in more detailed like trees and plants and stuff like that.
That's cool. Yeah. But like the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff, do they use that to play the game?
I mean, some weirdos probably do.
Oh man, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, keep doing it. I'll watch the little clips and stuff, but
I just love seeing all the little wacky memes and clips and stuff from people just like modding the crap out of that game and turning it into something completely different.
Yeah, playing City Skylines made me think about how cool it would be to have like a Roller Coaster Tycoon version for the console.
Well, with your new powerful laptop, you could probably, do you have a Steam account?
I don't.
You're exclusive PlayStation for life.
Pretty much to this point. Like I said though, I've considered Steam specifically for this one game.
I'm telling you, if you never used Steam before, one, it's incredibly easy to use. You have to wait till when there's a Steam sale though.
I hear about Steam sales all the time. I follow subreddits for that.
Oh yeah.
Even though I don't actually have Steam.
Because it's not only just like really interesting. You'll find interesting independent developers for video games and indie games. We found some of our favorite games that way.
Yeah. Sure.
Really interesting, like roguelike games like The Binding of Isaac and Slay the Spire. But then you can play big name titles like all of the your Halo, Call of Duty, any of that stuff, Skyrim, the new Doom game, I have that on there.
I've been wanting to play that.
I'm telling you, if you're ever looking, it's like it's very cathartic, to just go and like beat up demons and literally like rip them apart.
It looks fun. That's why I want to play it, honestly.
It's kind of like stress relief. Well, not really. I was playing it on like a hard difficulty setting the first time I played it, and like I found myself like I would finish like an arena, because you go like you're going down like these hallways, and like the fun thing about Doom is that it's equally parts exploration, where you're finding cool items and hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that, and then it's half just like non-stop action, just like relentless action. So you explore a little bit, and then you come into this big open arena, and you're like, uh-oh.
So some shit is about to go down.
It's always worse when you're about to go into a room and you see a whole bunch of ammo and health. You're like, oh no, why are they giving this to me?
Yeah, exactly.
What am I going to see in the next room?
That's exactly the first thought. It's not like, oh yes, it's all.
And then you go through, and then all of a sudden, like this swarm of demons just dumps down on you, and you're like, oh.
It looked like an awesome time.
I had to turn the difficulty setting down. I'm not ashamed to say that, because I was literally getting too stressed out. I was checking my blood pressure. My blood pressure was getting high playing the game.
I won't make fun of that. I play most of the games that I play, at least the first time through, on like the easiest mode. Maybe not the easiest, normal. Normal.
I like normal because it's like how the game is, I think, like intended to be played. Yeah. Then you can give yourself an additional challenge.
The only game,
or you could make it easier.
The only game I've ever like really upped the challenge on myself is Uncharted games, because I've played all of them through so many times that it's like, now I want to see if I can do this on a harder level.
I've seen so many cool videos and clips of those games, and I've never played them.
All of them are fantastic. I think Uncharted 2 is my favorite. Uncharted 4 is my second favorite. Uncharted 4 is one of the best games I've ever played.
What's the premise? Isn't that where you're like in like this, like you're on like an island, or you're like a treasure hunter?
You're a treasure hunter.
Okay.
In the first game, you're a treasure hunter. You're a treasure hunter throughout all of them, but the way it picks up, you're a treasure hunter.
Like Lara Croft style?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it does. It feels like a male Tomb Raider kind of.
Okay.
Like a more, if you replaced Lara Croft with Nathan Drake, you got Uncharted.
Does he have big boobs?
No, but I imagine that there are probably some female gamers out there that are looking at Nathan Drake the way guys look at Lara Croft. So it serves the same purpose. His character, I'm sure. I mean, they make the character look very chiseled and handsome. So
Nathan Drake is a thirst trap.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he's a good-looking character. Well, I don't know what else to say. The game, so you're going on these adventures looking for treasures, and you meet nefarious characters throughout the way, and you got to go. It's like an all-encompassing, really, I felt it very immersive.
Fun adventure.
Yeah, it was very immersive, and it was so easy to get lost in the game.
I love adventure games like that.
Uncharted 4, the graphics get better in the haptics, and the playability and everything get better with every installation, but the fourth one, man, it's just like the physics of that game are so beautiful. Like,
so is that a PlayStation exclusive?
Yes, Uncharted.
That's why I've never played it.
I believe all of the Uncharted series is exclusive to PlayStation.
I gotta get on the PlayStation train.
It's been one of the most frustrating things in the world that it's exclusive, because I tell everyone about it when we talk about if video games come up, that it's like one of my favorite series, and it's always like, oh, I don't have PlayStation. Oh, well then I guess there's no point on me telling you about it. But
what's another PlayStation exclusive? Was it?
I don't really.
Is it The Last of Us, or did they release that for all the systems?
Ooh. That one might have been a PlayStation exclusive. Yep.
I have to ask my friend Bryce. I know he was a big fan of at least the first game.
I played the first one. I haven't played the second one yet. I played the first one when it came out on PS3.
That's like a survival.
And then again when the remaster came out. Yeah.
Isn't it like a survival, almost like horror game?
It's a zombie game. It's not kind of. It is 100% a zombie game.
Wait. Isn't that
part
the
of
one
it
where,
takes place in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, one of the levels is Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a very, very beat up post-apocalyptic, like just it's awesome.
So it's Pittsburgh in the 90s.
Honestly, if you can imagine it, it's hard. Unless you're from Pittsburgh, you wouldn't even recognize it. It's so destroyed in the game. There's only a few little landmarks that you can. If you're from here, you'd be like, oh, that's the bridge. Oh, that's that building. You wouldn't.
I think they did Pittsburgh also in one of the Bethesda. Fallout. One of the Fallout games, I think.
I don't know.
Had a level in that. Did you ever play any of those?
I've played a couple. I've never owned any of them, but I've been with friends who've had them. I've played them, but I was never inspired to buy them.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Well, I like it because it's like it's still got that RPG aspect to it where you're like trying to build your character and stuff, but it's neat because you like go and you scavenge and you find all sorts of different things to like improve your character and weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was another game that gave Pittsburgh a little bit of a nod.
I'm more inclined to check it out, whichever one Pittsburgh's in. I always like seeing Pittsburgh in different things whenever it pops up. That's why that was what made me most excited to play The Last of Us. I believe that one, because The Last of Us and The Dying Light, which was also another zombie-esque game, came out at the same time. I believe Dying Light was cross-platform, and I believe that, not Uncharted, The Last of Us was strictly a PlayStation exclusive.
There was the one that came out like 2 years ago. That was a really creepy, weird one called Death Stranding. Did you ever play that?
I have not played it, but I've watched playthrough of it to figure out whether or not I wanted to download the game. And it's one of those ones I'm like torn on. It looks like it could be fun, but it also looks like it could be kind of boring.
Well, that's almost kind of the point. Is that the developer, like who makes those games? I forget his name. We'll Matt check it. But his games, like he said he wanted to give the player a feeling of isolation and like loneliness or something like that. Like it's like really interesting like way to make a game.
Did you ever play the X-Files game? I had it for the original PlayStation. For the original. Yeah, the X-Files.
No, I didn't know they made a game.
It wasn't a very playable game. It was like it was a 2-disc PlayStation game, and you basically just have still images on the screen, and you got to click around and find clues and stuff, and then it shows you like little video clips, and it's a puzzle game. I'm sure that it was great. I was too young at the time to fully understand how it worked, so I always found it was kind of dumb, but it's one that it just made me think of it when you said that it's supposed to give the person a feeling of isolation and stuff, because I remember that game really making me feel like I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know. It was scary as a kid.
The X-Files itself scared me as a kid.
The X-Files, the original X-Files game for PlayStation 1. I don't know if it came out for any other systems or... maybe a PC version came out as well.
PlayStation 1 had some gems, but looking back on it, so many of these games are so clunky and like hard to play if you try and revisit them.
A couple years ago, I repurchased Cool Borders 3. Do you remember the snowboarding game, Cool Borders 3?
No, I played the what's it called? Like I think Avalanche or like 1080 or something like that.
1080. That was on Nintendo 64.
That was I had that. Oh, I had the one for. I played the one that was like for the original Xbox. I played that in college,
so
like all
that's a different
the time.
one then. I don't know. I'm not sure which one that one. I believe the 1080 one was for Nintendo 64 because I think my neighbor had that one. But I purchased Cool Borders 3 pretty recently within the last few years and played it again. It is so clunky and so almost unplayable.
Really?
Yeah. I still have an original PS1 that works perfectly, and the game was just like brutal.
Oh my god, that reminds me of the.
I was so upset that I bought it.
That reminds me of the original. Did you ever play the original Wave Race?
Oh my god.
Right? Isn't that a blast from the past?
Wasn't that one of the games that like came on the demo disc that came with your system?
Maybe? I don't know. I just remember like it's like trying to control this jet ski and you like turned it just to the side and then you like went like off into a boat or something. It was so hard to control.
I don't know. Well, that hour and a half went by super fast.
Yeah, seriously.
I was not expecting this to come up right now, but thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week for episode 6.
Episode 6, where I'll have a word of the day for you.
Later.